It was during the editing for our piece on the Royal Rumble that we realized that this era of WWE programming has produced some of the best good guys in recent memory. It's like the Justice League. Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, L.A. Knight. But why is that? Why has a company that has had so much trouble creating bankable babyfaces all of a sudden had such a hot streak? And to be honest, the answer we came up with, it's kind of depressing. So now that I've set the crappy tone, I'm Senior Siete here at the Seven Rasslin News Desk, and let's dig into the wrestling theory that is the sad truth behind Roman Reigns' epic title run. Now, before we get into that, thank you so much for supporting this channel. If you enjoy what we do here, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and Superman punch that notification bell. Okay, in thinking about the present, we started by delving into the past to see why previous generations' babyfaces were so dang popular. Pro wrestling's first boom period was known as the Rock and Wrestling era. It was dubbed this due to the role MTV played in making the World Wrestling Federation into a household name. And the top name of that time was none other than bandana enthusiast Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, he's weird, right? He's like your strange balding uncle. Seriously, who else has that mustache? At any rate, we can crack all the jokes we want today, but the truth is that Hulk Hogan was a force of nature, and you could probably make the argument that he was one of the 5 most known Americans at the time. But why? The fact is, everyone we talk about is a product of their generation. Hogan often portrayed a character who embodied American values and patriotism. This resonated with audiences during a time when there was a strong sense of national pride in the United States. His character became a symbol of heroism, appealing to the desires of fans who wanted to see a larger-than-life hero triumph over evil. America's a winner, and so too is our champion, Hulk Hogan. Just look at other media from that era. A battered Vietnam vet was transformed into a muscled-up war god. A down-on-his-luck boxer became a jacked-up symbol of Americana. Muscles, 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 and most importantly, winning. Watch a sports movie today, and often the protagonist loses the final game, but gains something more valuable along the way. And spoiler alert for some movies that are 30 years old, but check it out. Major League, winners. Hoosiers, winners. The Natural, winners. The Karate Kid, winners. The Mighty Ducks, winners. People paid to watch Hulk Hogan vanquish evil foreigners, friends who had done him wrong, and giant monsters. Fight for what's right, fight for your life. And the formula worked, until it didn't. Hulk Hogan would leave the then WWF after a disastrous run with the world title at King of the Ring 1993. For whatever reason, audiences just weren't buying what the Hulkster was selling anymore, and instead of figuring out what the crowd actually wanted, Vince McMahon did his best to give them a new version of what had worked before. He shoehorned natural heels Kevin Nash and Lex Luger into this role to disastrous results. The posing and posturing narcissist showed up on the deck of the USS Intrepid one day and decided that he sure did love America, and he body-slammed the behemoth Yokozuna. From there, he went on a handshaking tour of the United States and a star-spangled bus, but that simply wasn't enough to get him over. That experiment finally fizzled and died at WrestleMania 10. They tried again less than a year later with the popular heel Kevin Nash, and the results were similar. The day of the smiling babyface was over, and business was going to suffer unless they made some changes. And it's safe to say they made some pretty substantial changes. Hand-slapping and flag-waving wasn't going to do the trick anymore. In this era of extreme sports, extreme TV, and Jerry Springer, the WWE moved to a more adult product, and the audience responded. The new hero was a beer-swilling, finger-raising heck-raiser who hated his boss and loved getting to drive heavy equipment. Who couldn't relate to Stone Cold Steve Austin? The kids that had started watching superhero wrestling in the 1980s were now grown up and hated their bosses and loved scantily clad women. Entertainment had moved away from the squeaky clean muscle-bound Boy Scouts of the 80s. There were more shades of gray, which was evidenced by the fact that Sting's popularity shot through the roof when he ditched his colorful face paint and Bart Simpson haircut and swiped a look from one of the most popular movies of the 90s. And then he just sat up in the rafters, brooding, for a year. Legitimately, that's not an exaggeration. It was an era where it was cool to be the bad guy. You literally couldn't go out in public without seeing an NWO shirt. And there are so many examples, but none more clear than the fact that smiling Rocky Maivia was booed out of the building, and the arrogant jerk The Rock became the biggest name in entertainment. But as you will see as a theme here, times change, and so too will the audience's taste. With the advent of the internet and more backstage maneuvering being made public, a larger portion of the wrestling fans became what is referred to as smart to the business. Yeah, everyone has always known the matches are predetermined, but now the fourth wall had been shattered to such a degree that it was impossible to watch a John Cena match and suspend disbelief that he was winning because of hustle, loyalty, and respect. He was winning because it was decided that John Cena is good for business. Add to that the fact that he went from a battle-rapping, innuendo-slinging Dr. Thugonomics to a towel-waving, oversized shirt-wearing Captain America, and you had a recipe for disaster. And why the change? Well, because the attitude and ruthless aggression eras were over, and the PG era was upon us. And the WWE needed a face that they could put on every conceivable product. I mean, the man's attitude adjustment finishing maneuver was literally originally called the FU at one point. And with this mega push came an inevitable backlash. Older fans didn't like being force-fed a top star that they didn't feel like they had chosen. Cena matches would be met with dueling "Let's go Cena," "Cena sucks" chants. At one point, the WWE even marketed their own "Cena sucks" shirts. Hey, good on them for leaning into it. At any rate, the WWE was scrambling. The formula was busted, and weirdly, the people that were getting over were underdogs. Now, just imagine you're Vince McMahon, and you're building to WrestleMania 30, and you've got your golden boy Randy Orton squaring off against the returning muscle god Batista. And then, this short, weird, hairy vegan just rolls in and takes the world by storm. Vince doesn't understand it, but he goes with it for a bit. Daniel Bryan would win the unified title at WrestleMania 30 and would forfeit it due to injury a short time later. But all signs point to the fact that Brock Lesnar was going to smush Daniel Bryan like a bug at SummerSlam to build to an inevitable Roman Reigns title victory at WrestleMania 31. Vince clearly didn't learn his lesson, as the next several years would be spent in vain trying to turn Roman Reigns into the WWE's next big smiling babyface. Until finally, after WrestleMania with lukewarm endings, they finally decided to try a new formula. Out is the suffer and succotash Roman, in is the head of the table. Bye-bye Shield vest, hello wise man Paul Heyman. Roman Reigns finally fulfilled his destiny of becoming the most important in-ring talent of a generation, and the WWE finally learned its lesson about what the fans want. The fans want to cheer for someone who is doing the things they want to do, someone they can live vicariously through, someone they can relate to. In the 80s, they wanted to be virtuous heroes who believe in what's right and love their country. In the 90s, they wanted to be a badass who flips off their boss and plays by their own rules. And today's audience, they feel like the entire world is against them. And this is not a political statement. We don't do that here. I'm not here to say what's right and what's wrong. This is simply a look into the mindset of a generation and what speaks to them. Millennials feel like they will never own their own home. They feel like they're never going to be able to afford what they want. They feel like they're never going to have a high-paying job. They feel like the system is against them. The same system that helps the rich get richer. The same system that makes stars out of Hollywood's Nepo babies. The same system that decides the guys that get to be the face of the company and the guys that don't. But these guys keep fighting. They get to the top of the mountain and come up short, not because of their inability, but because of outside interference from the bloodline. The champ, he shows up to work every 3 or 4 weeks, maybe, while these guys are grinding every show. The regime is so oppressive, but these guys keep plugging away. They are Daniel Bryan. Like Hulk Hogan in the 80s and Steve Austin in the 90s, they are who the audience wants to be, or more likely, who they see themselves as. So the sad reality of why Roman Reigns' title dominance has been so effective at making good guys we can root for is a large portion of today's society doesn't think they're ever going to succeed, not because they aren't good enough or smart enough or talented enough, but because the system is simply set up against them. Kind of a bummer, right? But the question I'll leave you with, and please let me know your thoughts in the comments section, will the fans eventually turn on Cody Rhodes if he's the one to eventually end Roman's reign of terror? Because I wonder if they'll lose their mass appeal once they're successful. Again, sorry if this was depressing, but thank you for hanging out. If you get a chance, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, headbutt the notification bell. Until next time, I'm Senior Siete here at the Seven Rasslin News Desk saying bye-bye.